This is the story of a bank raid, maybe the most ambitious bank raid of all time. It's a tale of conflict, of big money and big characters, secret deals, rule makers, but no knuckle dusters. It's happening now, and it starts here, in the City of London, where some of the world's biggest financial giants are pondering how to react to an uncertain future. Now, this isn't about tenors or gold bars. This story is about the banks themselves, about finance companies based here in Britain who've been operating freely across Europe. But they're now worried that Brexit, as they understand it, means they won't have that freedom come 2019. So they're pondering contingency plans. Now, all of the international banks I've spoken to say they would prefer to stay in London with assurances. But if they don't have that, then they'll have to move to another European centre. So the question for this bank heist story is, who gets the swag? Take LMAX, a financial technology company that employs more than 100 people. The boss is worried about his ability to sell across Europe in the coming years, so he's just applied to move his company to Dublin.
By doing that and going through that process, again, takes 6 months and some money, but 6 months from now we'll be able to operate no matter what happens with the 27 EU member states as we do today. You know, I'm a relatively small company with 120, 130 staff, so I can stop a process more easily than some of the bigger institutions. So the likes of the banks that are already talking about it in Canary Wharf, once they set that juggernaut going, they can't stop it.
Newsnight has heard of at least 8 European financial centres actively trying to push companies to leave London. Frankfurt, Luxembourg, Dublin, Madrid, Malta, Bratislava, Amsterdam and Paris, all trying to take London's business. In Paris, they're in full swing. I'm told international banks are being wooed with special deals on income tax, corporation tax, schooling. They've even been told contracts will be written in English. But it's only 4 years since President Hollande said he was an enemy of finance. So can the French now really welcome something as massive, risky and, well, Anglo-Saxon as big American banks? Well, here in Paris, they're also dwelling on the impact of Brexit, on how they go about luring business away from London and here to the French capital. Now, it's hardly new for them. Stock exchange was built more than 200 years ago, but there are some very particular issues to do with modern banking, and they often revolve around the complexities of derivatives or huge foreign exchange deals. Now, overseeing those are regulators in London or New York. They're hugely experienced, but there are critics who say that in Paris, those regulators don't have the experience, the strength, the resolve, the teeth. Well, I'm off to go and see the Paris regulator. Benoit de Juvigny oversees the French markets. This is his first British television interview.
Of course, London has great expertise, but don't underestimate other expertise. But for me, it's a welcome challenge. I'm very interested in my business. If I could do more business with new British or from throughout the world kind of financial entities, I will be very pleased. But on the same kind, also it's a dangerous challenge. I would say it's a dangerous challenge because we could see some kind of new competition between countries, between regulators.
You've had lots of interest from international institutions. What state are you at now with negotiations?
In some cases, I would say we are still at the level of inquiries or informal inquiries by consultants, by lawyers and so on. But in other cases, especially regarding large international banks, it's no more informal inquiry, but they have already undertaking real due diligences. And we receive a lot of practical questions regarding the way they are going to be managed from our perspective, with their relationship with the French regulators.
So we now know that companies have taken big steps towards moving. American banks have told Newsnight that setting up in a new country could take 2 years. And if they do come to Paris, they'll probably come here to La Défense, where 70 new office buildings are being planned and where an influx from Britain is seen as key to attracting the rest of the world.
We're also aiming world companies that are today established in London or looking about establishing themselves somewhere in Europe. For instance, we have a lot of contacts with Chinese companies who are looking for a basis in Europe and who are very interested by France and by Paris for many reasons, and they are very interested by the Paris business district.
And do you think these are companies who would otherwise have gone to London?
Probably, yes.
And they're saying to you, now that's off the table?
Yes.
But for all that Parisian bullishness, London's threat doesn't come from just one place. Well, I've spoken to bankers, lobbyists, regulators and politicians all across Europe, and what is very clear is that there isn't one city, not even Paris, that thinks it can take on everything that the City of London does. But there are lots: Luxembourg, Amsterdam, Frankfurt, Dublin, and yes, the French capital, that think that they can take a big chunk of that business. And if you put all those chunks together, what you end up with is a very big problem for one of Britain's biggest and most lucrative industries. Tonight, one major American bank told Newsnight it was making contingency plans to move operations to mainland Europe. But in January, I was told, the process would start of turning plans into reality.